Acute stress, when we're in immediate danger or feel threatened, initiates the fight, flight, or freeze response, and it may make our symptoms flare or cause a pseudo relapse. I had such an experience recently, and it got me to thinking, how do acute stressors affect our symptoms, and how can we better cope with them when things like this happen? Hello, my dear friends, and welcome. According to the World Health Organization, stress can be defined as any type of change that causes physical, emotional, or psychological strain. Stress is our body's response to anything that requires attention or action. We crave safety and stability. We like the status quo, keeping things on an even keel, if you will. Well, at least I do, but that doesn't always happen. And stuff happens. Stuff happened to me and my pup a couple of weeks ago. It started like any other normal day. I got up, I drank my coffee, I did my meditation, and I headed out for a walk with Bungie and my neighbor, one of my best friends. We were happily walking along, sharing stories, and Bungie was enjoying the sights and smells of the neighborhood when it happened. In 2 seconds flat, a huge German Shepherd came tearing across the yard, barking, snarling, head down, ears back, and hackles up. She didn't hesitate. She didn't slow down. She was on top of my Bungie, who immediately yelped out in pain. I released him so he could get away, and they took off up the street. And I tried to follow, but they were too fast. The shepherd caught my Bungie 2 more times, and he screamed out in pain amongst the terrifying barks and growls. I then ran back to the front door of the house and started pounding on the door and ringing the bell and screaming like a banshee for the owner to come out and get their attacking dog. The owner did come to the door, but wouldn't open it because she had another big shepherd inside the house that was now going crazy too, that she couldn't control. The original dog came back. I was now on its porch and its territory, screaming at the owner, and it decided that I was its next target. I had the terrifying realization that the owner was not going to help me. I tried to slowly back away, but it lunged at me and it started biting at my sneakers. And I thought, oh, this is it. If it knocks me down, I'm done for. At this point, the woman finally opened the door and got her dog inside. I called the police and went looking for my pup. And he was such a good boy. He was 3 houses up, sitting on the lawn, waiting for me, shaking. I did a quick search and I didn't find any obvious wounds on him, so I got him home. I gave my statement to the police and I got him to the vet to get checked out. While we were waiting to be seen, he was laying on the floor, and when he stood up, there was a small puddle of blood. I completely lost it. The tears came fast and hard. He is my furry child, and he got hurt on my watch. He had a puncture wound on his hip from where the shepherd tried to pull him down. It was a crazy, stressful day. The vet got him all fixed up, and he's healing really nicely. And the police and the animal control officer are expertly handling the situation, and the dog owners are cooperating. So why am I sharing this story? Because MS. Those who know. As you've probably guessed by now, yep, I had a pseudo relapse. The adrenaline rush from the stress, the cortisol, the epinephrine, all the lovely effects of the fight, flight, or freeze response. Yeah. In this study, they found that stress is a potential trigger of disease activity in patients with relapsing remitting MS. Yes, my MS symptoms flared. I experienced increased spasticity, crushing fatigue, and the most worrying, increased cog fog. I was searching for words for days and days after the dog attack. You know what that's like, don't you? Hey, honey, could you get me some of that pink fizzy drink? You know, the one that I like to drink. What's it called? Kombucha. I couldn't come up with the word kombucha. which I drink regularly. Or the thing, the thing that we use so we can have power during a storm and we lose electricity. The generator, another fairly common word. Every day, for days, I was struggling to come up with words. And when I have a dramatic change in my ability to recall words like this, it's really scary for me. Fog is one of the most distressing symptoms of MS for me. Having watched family members decline with dementia and eventually pass from it, it really frightens me, even more than the attacking dog did. I don't want to lose myself. I don't want to lose my ability to think, to reason, to remember, to be me, to be who I am. After about a week, my symptoms settled down and I started feeling much better. Thank you, dear body, for bouncing back. And thank you, dear brain and central nervous system, for returning to our baseline. I now walk my pup on a different route and I carry a big stick. And I have my pepper spray in my hand, not in my pocket. Stress, it's one of my biggest triggers. I've done other videos on stress and I'll link them above and put them in the description below if you would like to check them out. Does stress affect you and your symptoms? Have you had a flare after a stressful life event? Let me know in the comments below. Hey, could you do me a favor? Could you hit the like button, the thumbs up under the video, and subscribe? These two things are important because they'll help the channel and they'll help it to reach others. Thanks so much. So, what can we do when we're in an acutely stressful situation, when we're in danger? How do we handle the situation? Recognizing that our sympathetic nervous system is doing its job is a good place to start. It's putting us in an alert and stress condition. That fight, flight, or freeze response is exactly how our bodies are supposed to work. It's a good thing. After the immediate threat has passed, we can try to activate our parasympathetic nervous system to invoke the calming effect. First, we need to get to a safe place. My instincts told me to let Bungie go so he could get to a safe place. And I initially started to chase them to try to help him, but I realized I couldn't, so I went to the house to get help. And then when the dog turned on me, I slowly backed away and tried to make myself small and non-threatening so I could get to a safe place. And this was all instinct. It turns out our instincts are pretty smart. Once we're in a safe place, there are some techniques that we can do to help. The first is breathing techniques. One of them is diaphragmatic breathing, where we take long breaths and move our diaphragms. It's also called belly breathing. When we're in the fight, flight, or freeze response, we tend to breathe very shallow in the upper third of our lungs. Consciously, slowly deepening our breathing can help. Try it with me now. Put one hand on your chest and one on your stomach, and breathe in and feel your belly balloon out, and exhale and let it fall back in towards your spine. In this paper in Scientific American, they share that slow, deep breathing increases the activity of the vagus nerve, part of the parasympathetic nervous system. When the vagus nerve is stimulated, calmness pervades the body. The heart rate slows and becomes regular. Blood pressure decreases. Muscles relax. When the vagus nerve informs the brain of these changes, it too relaxes, increasing feelings of peacefulness. Yeah, increasing feelings of peacefulness when we've been through an acutely stressful situation is a good thing. Next is the double inhale breath. It's when we take a deep breath in through our nose, then take an extra sip of breath, and then breathe it out through our mouth. It goes like this. This also switches our nervous system from sympathetic, alert and stressed, to parasympathetic, to calm. Another technique to help turn on our parasympathetic nervous system is to practice grounding activities. I love the number 3, and it turns out it's helpful in grounding activities. Try touching 3 things and notice how they feel. Touch a desk and notice how it's smooth. Touch a glass of water and notice it's cool. Touch an item of clothing and notice how the fabric feels. Then notice 3 things that we can see and what they look like. Look at the sky and notice the color of it. Or the fur on the dog and how multicolored it is. Or the jewelry that we're wearing and how beautiful it is. And finally, notice 3 things that we can hear. Perhaps a song on the radio, or the wind going through the trees, or the birds outside the window. Doing these 3 things will help us to ground and to calm. Acute stress, the fight, flight, or freeze response, can cause an uptick in our symptoms, but there are techniques that we can use to help calm our bodies and recover. Let me know in the comments below if you have other techniques that help you. For more information on stress and MS, watch this video next. Thanks so much for joining me today. Until next time, be well.